What's up, guys? This is Corey with Toothless Reptiles in San Diego. I had a request to do a quick video on my filtration system for the water monitor's ponds. And so here we go. All of the ponds have bottom drains that actually drain outside, and I'll show you that in a minute. And all of the ponds, except for the pond in the sunroom, has a bottom intake and an upper inlet. So on the larger ponds, you can see down there, there's a huge cage around a 3-inch diameter inlet that goes out the pond and then back towards the filter. And then this area up here is actually just an overflow that goes into the pond next door. And then this is the only outlet other than the one in the sunroom. So that's clean water coming in, old water getting sucked out, and then this pond's level is controlled by this overflow that goes into the other pond. I put cages on everything because one thing you need to keep in mind, if you're running a 4,500 gallon per hour pump like what I have on here, it's going to create a large amount of suction, and the last thing you want to do is end up with your monitor stuck underwater because it's sucked against the pipe. Also, with the overflow, I have 2 cages because he, the big black dragon that's down there, he likes to hang out on top of there. So if he's on top of it and accidentally covers up one side, the other side's still going to drain, and vice versa. So he can't actually cut off the flow and overflow the pond. Which is good. And then I keep that little hose on the outlet just because it keeps the water from splashing out everywhere. But that's basically it for the larger pond. With the this is actually the overflow, just like this one on here that overflows into the pond next door. This is the overflow from the pond in the sunroom, and I'll show you guys that as we go along. Make sure we lock this back up. We don't want any dinosaurs running around in the neighborhood. Now if you look at the pond next door on Toothless's side, this is the overflow from the big pond next door, and she also has an inlet with a large cage on it down there. You can see it down in there. So this pond is being circulated from top to bottom also, so this water doesn't get stagnant. Hey girl. And then I'll show you all the plumbing. So all of the ponds have lower drains. There's the lower bottom drain, and this is simply just to drain water out of the ponds. It's not for filtration draining or cleaning the filters. It's just for draining water out of the ponds. Every couple weeks or so, I like to drain out at least half of one of the ponds and put in new water. So I drain that, and also another thing to realize is all of that piping all the way back to your ball valve that you're going to use to drain does not circulate. So all the poop actually ends up swirling around from the pumps and ends up settling down into those pipes. So at least once a week or so, you need to crack that valve and let water flow through it and undo it, because a lot of poop's going to come out of that little area, and it gets really stale water, so it'll smell really bad. So let's go check out where the piping goes out. So what I have back here is these are the 2 drains for the bottoms of both of the ponds in these enclosures. Then these are both of the inlets in the bottoms of the ponds that go to the actual filter. There's a ball valve on here because generally the pond water is gonna, the pond pump is gonna suck from the path of least resistance, so I try to create some resistance on the bigger pond to make sure that the smaller pond, which is what this one goes to on Toothless's side, this pond ends up getting water pulled out of it, so that's circulating properly. And then this is the outlet that I have the hose on up there of the water, and these are all quick release couplers in case I want to change something or move something around. Everything's quick release, and it goes all out to the side of the house into the filter, which is where we're going to go now. So on the side of the house, and this is obviously next to the garage where the ponds are in the large enclosure, This is the filtration system, so this is what does everything. If you have a water monitor, you know that they poop in the water all the time, and you change the water every single day, and it becomes a pain in the butt. So what's awesome about this system is it's just like a pool filter. So this is an Aquas Ultima 2000. This is the 2000 model. It's actually meant for a 2,000 to 3,000 gallon koi pond, so it can work with solids and everything. And I have a 4,500 gallon per hour pond pump. It's all 1.5 inch tubing. I believe they make the Aquas Ultima 2 in a 2 inch and an 1.5 inch. I got the 1.5 inch. And I have a pre-screen also, just like in a pool, so I can get a lot of solids out of there if it happens to make it past the cages in the pond, because your water monitor is going to eat quail and chicks, and all of those feathers get stuck in the pond. And then this Ultima, what's awesome about it is rather than having to dump my water, everything's wired on 110, and it's on a timer with a switch, so I can shut the pump off, take this valve, switch it to backwash, turn the pump back on, and now it's mixing up all the media in there. You can see the little bubbles on the side. This is all full of biomedia. It's mixing up all that media and dumping the dirty water right outside. So I can backwash, rinse, and everything, all of my pond water for all of my monitors, so I don't ever have to do full water changes. You just switch it right back to filter and turn your pump back on, and you're back to filtering your ponds. Another thing is I keep this all on a timer. So this pond filtration system runs from 6 a.m. to about 4 p.m. and then it'll come on for a half an hour in the middle of the night just to turn the water over, because they generally don't need the filtration on 24/7. You're not going to create a lot of bio in your filter because you're not having fish. You're really just trying to keep the water fresh. So as long as you turn the water over in the middle of the night, you're going to maintain all your beneficial bacteria inside this canister. And then if you look here, there's actually a secondary line that tees off of my outlet that goes into the pond. And this one goes all the way up and over, all the way up into the pond in the sunroom. And that one right there is actually tied into the other drain, which is the bottom drain for the pond in the sunroom. And this one is the overflow